on the record. The time now is 48 minutes past 1 p.m. on January 6th of the year 2021. For the Superior Court of Record, it is now open and in session under Title 28, Section 3636, lowercase golf, and under Martial Law, Rule 208. Jurisdiction over the offense. This is a court of jurisdictional powers and temporary assignments, as we said, under Title 28, Section 636, lowercase golf. The case number that we will be talking about today is Delta 1314 Charlie Victor 2019-00392. And I repeated the 2019. Today we're going to have a special personality from the Public Library of Congress. In fact, we're going to have two of them. It is the honor for the Adelina, for the hyphen column, Adelina hyphen Arriaga column Pedrosa, to bring you this video directly from the Library of Congress, of the Congress of the United States, on which we are presenting these claims. We are presenting these claims in front of the corporate United States Congress Oversight Committee. And we are bringing this video as evidence that that no one is above the law. Although you guys here at the 13th District Judicial Court in Valencia County, New Mexico, you think you rule, you are the dictators of this state. So we're gonna bring you the Honorable Chief Justice John G. Roberts and Lord Igor Judge's verbal statement regarding the fact that no one is above the law. Follow this short video. The video is a little longer than we're going to play. We're gonna just play the section that we are interested on regard. That this is very clear to you that no one is above the law and that everyone is entitled and has the right to due process of law. Which in these 5 cases that we have sent to the federal court is proven that that the right of due process has been violated in all 7 cases, all of them, including federal court. So after that, we're going to be reading a couple of documents. And one of them is the affidavit on a writ of declaration, and the case number Delta 1314-Charlie Victor 02-2019-00392. And we're we're gonna be putting this on the very clear, and we're gonna be putting it on the eyes of the corporate United States Congress Oversight Committee. When the video is paused or played, we're going to continue to talk about these cases because we are about to send the invitation, the official invitation. We are a few videos ahead now, so they can start working on their videos that have already been produced for the Honorable Jesús-Arriaga is appointed Special Master in Common Law and Federal Postal Judge to juries for the Honorable Column Adelina hyphen Column hyphen Arriaga column Pedrosa. And we're going to adjust this thing here to play the video now.
From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to the Library of Congress. I'm staggered to see so many of you here. Of course, we know the reason why, but I want to thank you for coming. My name is David Mao, and I'm the law librarian here at the Library of Congress. You are here today for our program, Magna Carta, the American Constitution. And this lecture is the third installment in a lecture series that the Law Library is sponsoring. It's part of our Magna Carta lecture series, and it's also a way for us to commemorate the Constitution, because tomorrow is the annual federal celebration of Constitution Day and Citizenship Day. So thank you, and we're delighted that we're able to join these two events together this year. As I just mentioned, Magna Carta is a big theme for us this year because, as some of you may know, in November of this year, we will be launching our great exhibition, Magna Carta, Muse and Mentor, November 6th of this year, so mark that down on your calendar. At that time, we will be having an exhibition here at the center, the centerpiece of which will be one of the existing 1215 Magna Cartas. We will be bringing the Lincoln Cathedral King John Magna Carta from Lincoln, England, to the Library of Congress, and along with the 1215 Magna Carta, we will have 70 or so items from the Library of Congress collections that will help explain the influence of Magna Carta, primarily from an American point of view. I want to also thank the American Bar Association Standing Committee on the Law Library of Congress for co-sponsoring this event, and I see Liz Medaglia, the chair of the committee, sitting in the third row here. We want to wave to everybody, Liz. They have been instrumental in helping us with our Magna Carta project and with all of our related activities, so thank you again. And also the Friends of the Law Library of Congress, Kim Fan, who's sitting here in the front row, also been very, very generous in helping us with our programs. So the U.S. Constitution, which we are celebrating as part of this program, has been amended and interpreted in various ways over the years, but it really has endured since its signing by the delegates back on September 17th, 1787. It's the oldest continuing constitution in the world, and it is viewed as a document embodying strong institutions, free enterprises, and principles of freedom. Now, the Magna Carta, which was first issued more than 570 years prior to the signing of the U.S. Constitution, is the foundation for many of the most fundamental concepts of our legal system, and was also an important historical precedent for our founding fathers when they worked on the Constitution. So we're very, very excited that we can combine these two, this event today, to celebrate both of these documents. We are very fortunate today to have with us a constitutional law scholar, Akhil Amar, Sterling Professor of Law and Political Science at Yale University, and he will be discussing the grand project of American constitutionalism, past, present, and future. His lecture will highlight the ways in which the American constitutional experience has both drawn upon and broken with English constitutional precursors such as the Magna Carta and the English Bill of Rights of 1689. For those of you who may not know, Professor Amar teaches at Yale. He teaches both at Yale College and Yale Law School, and he's an alumnus of both of those institutions. He's a leading constitutional law scholar, as I've mentioned, and an author of many, many articles and books on the topic, the most recent being America's Unwritten Constitution, the Precedents and Principles We Live By. I also want to just put a footnote in there. I learned earlier before this meeting that Professor Amar said that he almost never misses classes, and he has made an exception for us today, so I think we're really, really very, very lucky to have him here, because he should be teaching all those law students, I guess, and so we're very delighted to have Professor Amar with us. Please join me in welcoming. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. 11 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new constitution, conceived in liberty and, alas, also conciliatory toward slavery, and destined to revolutionize the world. 77 years ago, our fathers and mothers were in the process of bringing forth upon this continent a revised constitution, a new birth of freedom. In today's remarks, I'd like to talk to you about what happened 7 years ago. I'll do the math with you this week, and I'll try to put that in the context of what happened 7 years ago, the reconstruction of our Constitution. You heard briefly about one Lincoln connected to the Magna Carta. I'll tell you about another Lincoln and his connection to the American Constitutional Project. I'll also try to say a little bit about what happened 40 years ago. That would be Magna Carta, 800 years ago, and what happened 5 years ago when the women's suffrage, 100 years ago, when the women's suffrage revolution kicked into high gear. So ours is a broad story. It begins, though, in mid-September. So you heard David mention that mid-September is Constitution Week. September 17th is Constitution Day. What's that all about? You've heard a lot about July 4th, not enough, it seems to me, about September 17th. So I want to take you back 227 years ago. 11 score is 20 years, 11 scores 220, and 227 years ago. 11 score and 7 years ago. September 16th, 1787. And the world is, to a very considerable extent, as it has always been on that date. There's very little democracy across the planet, self-government. We here in the New World govern ourselves to a considerable extent, so there's some considerable amount of self-government in England. The Swiss are largely self-governing. That's basically it for the planet. The rest of the world on September 16th, 1787, basically groans in chains. They're kings, emperors, sultans, Mughal lords, feudal chieftains, thugs control the planet. In the Russias, in China, in India, a British empire on with its boot on the throat of the indigenous population. Africa is not free. What's Eastern and Western Europe, apart from Switzerland, is basically not self-governing. So it's basically America, Britain, and Switzerland. That's it on September 16th, 1787. 227 years ago today. And then something happens on September 17th. Changes the world. The beginning of the year that changed everything, the hinge of human history, because today you live in a world in which half the planet by population and landmass is democratic. We won the last century. I like our odds in this century going forward. So it's a completely different world than the world of September 16th, 1787. And I claim that world that we live in is the world created, a world basically made in America and made in a certain year, the year that begins September 17th, 1787, 227 years ago tomorrow. The world changes. There is, for a secularist, there is BC and AD, before the Constitution and after the document. And we'll talk about Magna Carta, and it lays a certain foundation, but it does not change the world, because the world of, it's not just that there's no democracy, you see, on September 16th, 1787. There's no democracy on September 16th, 1687, or September 16th, 1587, or 1487, or go all the way back. Very little self-government on the planet. You had a few tiny Greek city-states, the glory that was ancient Periclean Athens under the Cleisthenic Constitution, pre-imperial Rome, Florence. You had a few little democratic projects, but these blinked out in the wink of an eye, so to speak. They did not sustain themselves over long periods of time or wide expanses of space. These were, when these democratic projects worked, as in, let's say, ancient Athens, they were people who met face to face in a single city, a polis. They worshipped the same god or gods. They had a common climate and culture and language. They didn't extend over different time zones.
As you heard in the introduction,
They didn't bring
clearly, that the same language has to be used. We're going to be playing another section from the same place in connection with this video.
opposing symbol. The
Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
This is in real time. Things like this you're going to see in video that is made on real time.
I want to welcome all of you to the beautiful members' room here in the Thomas Jefferson building of the Library of Congress. We're very, very fortunate and honored today to have with us Chief Justice John Roberts from the United States Supreme Court and the Right Honorable the Lord Judge, former Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales. They've both graciously agreed to sit down with us today to have a conversation about Magna Carta and its legal legacy. Tomorrow's a very big day for us here at the Library of Congress, and in particular, the staff of the Law Library. For 3 years, we've been planning and working, and so finally tomorrow, we will be able to open officially our exhibit, Magna Carta, Muse and Mentor. It'll be right upstairs here in the South Gallery of this building, and it has been a joy working on this for 3 years. The exhibition is the beginning for the library to celebrate the 800th anniversary of Magna Carta, which will take place next year. Now, as I know many of you know, the centerpiece for the Library of Congress exhibition will be the magnificent Lincoln King John Magna Carta, which is graciously loaned to us, to the library from Lincoln Cathedral in Lincoln, England. It is one of the 4 existing exemplifications or copies of Magna Carta that King John granted in 1215. Tomorrow the exhibition opens, and it also allows us to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the first time that the Lincoln King John Magna Carta was on display here at the Library of Congress. Some of you may know that in 1939, in November of 1939, the Lincoln Magna Carta was entrusted to the Library of Congress and then put on display, but it was entrusted to us for safekeeping at the very beginning of World War II. So our exhibition upstairs will help illustrate Magna Carta's influence on the history of rule of law and its impact on the development of the constitutional order here in America. And in particular, it highlights several legal principles which draw their roots from 17th century interpretations of Magna Carta. And those are legal principles like the principle of representative government, the right to due process of law, the right to trial by jury, the protection from unlawful imprisonment, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus, and of course the theory of limited government. So what better way than to prepare for tomorrow's opening to sit with Chief Justice Roberts and Lord Judge to have a conversation about this great document, to hear their thoughts on its legacy. So thank you very much, Lord Judge and Chief Justice Roberts. Now, Chief Justice Roberts, as I'm sure most of you know, began his appointment as Chief Justice of the United States and head of the federal judiciary here in the United States in 2005. Lord Judge was appointed Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales in 2008. And as Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales, he was head of the judiciary and president of the courts of England and Wales. I should probably mention one other thing, that in addition to both of them leading the judiciary in their respective countries, one other item that they have in common is that both are benchers of the Honorable Society of the Middle Temple, which is one of the 4 ancient organizations in England that has the privilege of calling their members to be barristers in England. So with that introduction, I want to start, excuse me, I thought we could start with our conversation focusing on Magna Carta and its meaning to us in the present time, in modern times. And so when we talk about Magna Carta now, we focus on the fact that it was a great influence on the development of legal systems across the world and on the rise of the modern state. But we also know that in the United Kingdom, in particular, most of the provisions of Magna Carta have been repealed. And certainly in the United States, if Magna Carta were ever considered constitutional law, and I say that with a small c, certainly it would have been superseded by the United States Constitution. So my question is, why is it important for us, for our respective countries, to continue to commemorate Magna Carta in this way? And I will start with Justice Roberts.
Thank you. Well, it is, of course, first and foremost an imposing symbol. The exact origins of it, I don't think it would have been regarded as a Bill of Rights when it was issued. The barons and the king, I don't think, were terribly interested in promulgating rights that would apply across the board. But over time, it has become a critical symbol. It was a vital symbol during our revolution. John Adams referred to it frequently. If you look at the original seal for the state of Massachusetts, it shows a militiaman with a sword in one hand and a copy of Magna Carta in the other. It embodied for the colonists first what they were looking for in the beginning. They were not looking for independence, they were looking for the rights of Englishmen, to which they thought they were entitled, and those were represented by Magna Carta. And it was, as the state seal of Massachusetts, engraved by Paul Revere, shows, that's what they were fighting for. The sword in one hand, Magna Carta in the other. And you mentioned the 1939 transfer of Magna Carta for safekeeping. Again, that was an extraordinarily powerful symbol. The British did not give it over lightly, and I think they did so in a very calculated way. They wanted to remind us that this is what they were fighting for and convey the strong message that you should be too. So it is very useful as a symbol that represents the rule of law, liberties. It's been reinvented over the years. The American colonists, when they looked to it, were looking to it as interpreted by Blackstone, which gave a lot more substance to it as a charter of liberty than I think might have been done in earlier centuries. But it was a powerful symbol at the time of the Revolution. It continued to be a powerful symbol at the time of the Second World War. And it's available whenever you do need resort to something that in a tangible way represents these basic fundamental liberties.
Or Judge?
I rather agree with that, and I think that what the Chief Justice has said about the Magna Carta being here in 1939 reminds us that although this sounds as though it's an academic subject, it isn't. In 1939 and 1940, there was a very strong possibility, indeed, I put it further, by the end of 1940, all Europe, bar the islands offshore, was under the jackboot. Now, it's easy for us sitting in this beautiful building to take for granted that all the things that matter to us about our freedoms are there to last forever. Well, they don't necessarily last forever. In 1939-40, England was very close, Britain was very close to losing the war. For the Charter to be here meant that it would be preserved. Of course, Lincoln Cathedral wanted it back. Any cathedral that's got a 1215 charter has got a treasure of, well, infinite magnitude. But if you don't take your freedoms for granted, then Magna Carta becomes a much more vivid, vibrant document. If I may just go back to it, there are actually 4 charters, 1215, 1216, 1217, 1225. None of them is called Magna Carta. King John never signed one, he sealed it. And the 3 things that are perhaps most important in it are one clause that people always forget. It's clause 61, and it's from this that we take the very vivid principle that nobody is above the law. No king. King anointed, God's servant, inherits by divine luck, you could call it, but right, Now, every king in medieval Europe made an oath that he'd be a good king, do lots of justice, look after lots of poor people, all the sort of things that you'd want your new king to do. But in medieval Europe, if the king didn't provide justice and so on and so forth, I'm afraid they took the view that he had to answer to God in heaven. Well, when the king's dead, it's not much good if you've had no justice or you've not been properly looked after. And what Magna Carta did was to say in Clause 61, if the king does not abide by the Charter when he's notified that he is in breach of it, in effect, a council of 25 barons can take over the running of the kingdom. They're not to harm him, they're not to injure him, they're not, of course, to treat him with violence or his family, but they're no longer stuck with their oaths of allegiance and fealty. This, I think, is a fantastically important moment. Suddenly, the king is answerable on earth, not just in heaven. And from this we derive constant references through the Middle Ages to the king not being above the law. The law comes first. The king comes second. He's certainly the most important person in the kingdom, but he is beneath the law. And that, I think, leads us to this, I think, really important point, which it's easy in a democracy to overlook, but which in any dictatorship would be no trouble at all. No king is above the law, no president is above the law, no executive is above the law. Everyone is answerable for his actions or her actions in court. And that leads to the second, but I'm not going to talk about this too long, but we're all entitled to justice. The clauses don't just say justice, they talk about right and justice. Now, there weren't many rights about in 1215, but over the centuries our rights have come to be established, and you find the preservation, the entitlement to a court system that will preserve your rights is there found within the Charter. And I regard the insistence in the Charter on right and justice as being its second most important legacy to us, because again, here in the office of Chief Justice of the United States, the office I once held in England, we are there responsible for seeing that justice is available to all our citizens, even if they're taking on the president, or they're taking on the government, the prime minister in our case, or a great local body, great local authority. These rights are recognized in the Charter. The barons weren't thinking of us. The barons weren't, full of ideas about voting. Of course they weren't. But as our country developed, and then yours did from ours in the constitutional arrangements, these things became part of the country. In England now, if somebody says something, let's do something that most people would regard as diabolical and dictatorial, everybody says, it's against Magna Carta. It isn't against Magna Carta. There isn't a word in Magna Carta about trial by jury. But people think of Magna Carta as representing their rights, their entitlements, the need for justice to be done, and most important of all, equality before the law. I'm sorry I've gone on too long there.
Oh, no, that's quite all right, because that leads right into the second question that I was, and the relation of Magna Carta specifically to the law.
Equality. Equality under the law. You've heard it. It's quite understandable. Equality. Everyone has the right to the equal protection of the law. And as you heard that from this forensic evidence being introduced on behalf of the support. From day one, this case has taken off with a lawful notification that we read in the previous video. The lawful notification clearly states that all rights are reserved and that the rights are preserved to preserve the protective rights. And clearly states in the end of the lawful notification that this court is hereby set by the laws of the Republic. It is quite embarrassing for the 13th Judicial District Court of Valencia County, New Mexico, to have been going in that direction because they are not competent. They claim to be competent, but it is clear that they are not competent. Should they have been competent, none of this should have happened. None of it. The damage is done. As we mentioned in previous videos, if you knew, or you should have known, you are at a great deal of disadvantage. One, false advertisement, attorneys at law. If you knew the law, none of this should have happened. And then it goes farther than this. And then for this one Cindy M. Mercer, for this other Judge Lawrence, Judge Lawrence on the same building, and we have mentioned this in the past in a document that was read. He just transferred the case, recused himself, because he knew we have another case that we're going to be discussing with you when we get there. It's case number, and this I'm going to read it for the record, so this way we have something that we are moving on that direction. The next case we're going to be talking about is going to be case Delta 1314-Charlie Victor 2018-00590. Okay, well, moving forward. I think in the last video we read a document that there was the objection, the mandatory judicial noted writ of quo warranto with proof of claim and a load of fee schedule private. We read that document. For the record, it's in the previous video. And then we left very clear that if the judge agreed, that if the judge continue on that path, we were given notice, an objection is for the following. We are presenting now an affidavit of truth and a writ of declaration, case number Delta 1314-Charlie Victor 2019-00392. That it was placed and deposited on the court file in my office, District Court Clerk, on the 13th Judicial District Court on Valencia, New Mexico, on February 20 of 2020 at 12 minutes past on the PM, and received by Philip Romero, who is the deputy, and it's been filed and endorsed. For the Honorable Adelina Arriaga Pedrosa wrote this writ, and for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Abonce, the Special Master in Common Law appointed for the Honorable Column Adelina Column Arriaga Column Pedrosa. On February 18 of 2020, approximately at 11:32 in the a.m., at courtroom 201 at the 13th Judicial District Court of Valencia County, for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Abonce, appointed Special Master in Common Law by the Honorable Adelina Arriaga Pedrosa, Federal Postal Judge, sui juris, and one of the people for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Abonce assisted the hearing on behalf of one incapacitated by health reasons, the Honorable Column Adelina Arriaga Column Pedrosa, and verbally asked, "Is this the 11:45 a.m. hearing?" Cindy Mercer, Judge, answer, "No." The Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Abonce sat in a bench outside the bar area and asked again, "Is this the courtroom 201? Bailiff Secretary and Cindy M. Mercer, Judge, replied simultaneously, "Yes." So at this point, I am sitting over there. I've been given a document to subscribe, and in the document is forensic evidence. 1. Did you schedule? 2. Did you agree and enter into a contract? Because the contract says clearly that a special appearance will be on the amount given to you in the document. And also, for every certain amount of minutes, you'll be looking at a different fee. So look for it. At this point, I'm in there, and the time is ticking. And you were told not to schedule this because you had no authority, because you're not a judge, because you had no jurisdiction, because you didn't provide with the jurisdiction when it was challenged, because you didn't have to prove jurisdiction because the lawyer had to prove jurisdiction. Vincent Serafino had to prove jurisdiction, never did. So based upon that, and from the very beginning, this very case, from the very beginning, Carl W. Rastick was requested to furnish the entire block of documents in regard to any authority he may have to administer the estate for the Honorable Column Pedrosa. Period. He never did. He never did provide any documents. So we wrote the judgment and we dismissed it with prejudice. Shame on you. The general counsel here of the building could not challenge one of the people, and therefore this case was dismissed with prejudice. Discharge. Discharge. You were given the opportunity to prove any jurisdiction. You never did. Never brought it over. Never brought it forward. But hey, you continue. Shame on you. Shame. It's a shame. It's embarrassing for the court. I got there. For the Honorable Column Jesús-Arriaga Column Abonce sat in a bench outside the bar area and asked it again, is this the courtroom 201? Bailiff, comma, Secretary and Cindy M. Mercer, judge replied simultaneously, yes. The bailiff provided registration booklet where the Honorable J. Column, J. Period. Jesús hyphen Arriaga column Abonce subscribed by given name. Let the record show that it is forensic evidence of assistance, an agreement to pay the amount cited on the writ of quo warranto on the mandatory judicial notice that it was delivered on that day, along with the criminal complaint. At exactly 11:45 a.m., for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Bonce stood up from the bench and stated verbally aloud, Your Honor, please take judicial notice of the time and the absence of the opposing counsel. The bailiff attempted to quiet for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Bonce and said, Sir, you're on our time. You'll have to wait. Since when you have your own time? Or since when you wait for the ones that don't show up and then you throw them on the slammer? You do it all the time. It happened in this case. So, for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Bonce waited at 11:49 and 53 seconds for the Honorable Column J. Period Jesús Arriaga Column Abonce stood up for the second judicial notice to Cindy M. Mercer and verbally expressed that loud, Your Honor, please take judicial notice that the time is now 11:49 and 53 seconds, and please take judicial notice that the fact that the opposing counsel has failed to appear, and I'm here to deliver these documents. Notice, mandatory judicial notice, writ of quo warranto with proof of claim and allodial fee schedule private, 4 pages. 4 pages, and we read it, and we have it here, and you have it, and it is being filed. It's on the record. These documents are filed for a reason. This is not Judge Wapner's court, or this is not Judge Judy's court. which seems more like you are taking it. You are no longer on the Judge Wapner. If this is where you got your training from. At 11:49 and 53 seconds, for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Amonce stood up for the second judicial time, for second judicial notice to Cindy and Mercer and be verbally expressed out loud. Your Honor, please take judicial notice that the time is now 11:49 and 53 seconds, and please take judicial notice that the fact of the opposing counsel has failed to appear, and I'm here to deliver this document. Notice of mandatory judicial notice read or quo warranto with proof of claim and allowed of fee schedule private. And we deliver the 4 pages that have been labeled for the People's Exhibit Foxtrot Uniform Charlie. 3 pages. As forensic evidence of contempt, ruling, and unlawful practice of law by one Cindy M. Mercer and mail fraud in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1342, document number 2, delivered and filed by the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga, column Avonce, on February 18th of 2020, 6 minutes past 10 a.m. An administrative remedy claim, 1, column 2, dash, Charlie, Bravo, Victor, dash, 00113, dash, Juliet, Hotel, Romeo, filed at the Corporate United States District Court for the District of Corporate New Mexico on February 7th of the year 2020 against all correspondence listed on documents 17, 18, 19, and 20, and the document size is 65 pages. For the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Amonce extracted the documents from the yellow manila envelope and placed them on the left side desk. The bailiff verbally stated, "Sir, we are not going to receive these documents." For the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Amonce placed the 3rd judicial notice. Your Honor, please take judicial notice of the time, 11:49 and 53 seconds, and the absence of the opposing counsel, and the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Amonce left the courtroom number 201. Counsel for the fictitious plaintiff failed to show, abandoning all claims against the fictitious entity, Adelina Arriaga. The document is autographed for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga, column Amonce. For the Honorable column, Jesús, Arriaga, column Amonce. All rights reserved under the UCC 1-308-1-103.6 and 109. appointed special master in common law and judicial officer of this superior court of record by an authority of the Honorable Column Adelina-Arriaga, Column Pedrosa, is one of the people, federal postal judge sui juris, presiding on this superior court of record. Notary witness knowledge. Official seal, Michelle Vasquez, Notary Public, State of New Mexico. My commission expires 11/10/20, State of New Mexico, County of Valencia. On the notary witness knowledge, personally known to me or proved to me on the basis of satisfactory evidence to the top B, the people whose name is subscribed in this instrument and acknowledge that he executed it. And this is from February of 2020. February 20 of 2020. So February, March, April, June, July, August, September, October, November, and on December, the lawyer who abandoned the claim sent another fraudulent corporate note. Now this is knowingly. Everything has been discussed, let me tell you. He failed to challenge jurisdiction, don't forget. Failed to challenge the jurisdiction. Philip Romero kidnapped the book. It's not on the stenographics or in the digital media, if you will, or the digital or the media registry is not there. But we have evidence that we send it to you, certified mail. So right there, Philip Romero, you are guilty of mutilating, tampering with evidence, obstructing a criminal investigation, obstructing the administration of justice, and you're in violation of Title 18, Section U.S. Code Section 2071, which we read in the other video. And you have that document. So now, Vincent Serafino, the same goes for you. You are here presented with the forensic evidence for the record, and it has a register number or a certified number. You send it certified mail when you've been told that this is not what you do, and you abandoned these claims 9 months ago, sir. Is this how it works in your world? For the Honorable Adelina Arriaga Pedrosa, refuse it per cause UCC 1-308, 103.6, and 109. And 1-109. What part of this document you don't understand, Mr. Serafino? What law school did you go to? What did they tell you on law school? You practice maritime law, don't you? You received a maritime contract, and you enter into a maritime contract, and you are liable for your wrongdoings because you knew, or you should have known, because of your superior knowledge of the law. Do you fly any airplanes? If you don't have any training to fly airplanes, most definitely try to do that and you will die. But this is the same. You know, you've heard this from the video that we played, because we wanted you to hear that. You and all the judges, you and all these corrupt people, you and all these corrupt thieves, including Carl W. Ravestick, and all these trespassers listed on the attachment 1 of all these documents that we have submitted. You don't even speak English. The only reason that I'm speaking to you in this fashion is because I know that this is the only language that you speak. I want to be fair. But you were not fair to a lady. By the time a lady from one of the people comes over and tell you, hey, where did you go to law school? Why don't you see it this way? Hey, you're lost, you're done. Now you had to go and file a motion. In these documents, I know exactly what you're doing, and I know exactly where you're wrong, and you've been told on many occasions, you know what, you just don't barge. Which makes it worse, because if you knew, there's clear evidence of malpractice. Now, if you didn't know, there's forensic evidence of negligence. You lose both ways. Either way, you lose. You lose. You lose. You never challenge this because you are used to do whatever you please or whatever you think is right or whatever. In fact, you don't know. You don't know. You don't even speak the language. And you've heard this video on the prior video from the Library of Congress. We have to have the same language. And in this video, you want to continue, I want the writings on the language specified as contained on the record. The language was mentioned a long time ago. There is a date, and there is that book. There is that book that it is missing. And then supposedly this judge here, she says that she was going to strike the documents in another case. You know, this is not like I feel like striking this. This is an objective appeal. This is not how you subjectively feel, mister. So this document here was returned as we showed, and it was returned to you via fax. And it says here to Judge Cindy M. Mercer, fax number 505-866-6813 from column Adelina hyphen Arriaga column Pedrosa period. Case number Delta 1314 dash lowercase Charlie lowercase Victor 2019-00392. 4 pages including cover. We will go into the transmittal part of it. To Thomas M. Sellers, fax number 2149979-7402 from column Adelina hyphen Arriaga column Pedrosa period. Case number Delta dash 1314 dash Charlie Victor dash 2019-00392. 5 pages including cover, December 3rd of the year 2020. And you receive this document. And we're going to read this for the record. To Judge Cindy M. Mercer and Carl W. Ravestick, General Counsel, fax 505-866-6813. Case number Delta 1314-Charlie Victor 2019 2019-00392. So for the record, case number Delta 1314-Charlie Victor 2019-00392. That part is pretty clear, right? It is the wish of this Superior Court of Record that all matters be released from the 13th Judicial District Court on Valencia County to the Supreme Court of the United States for the judicial review to the attention of the Honorable John G. Roberts, Jr., Chief Justice, and to Carl W. Ravestick to forward all documentation contained on the record of these following cases. And now this is where it starts getting quite interesting, because now we're gonna put these 5 cases, in all cases, are going to be read here for the record. Case number Banco dash 059 dash uppercase Charlie Victor dash 2017 dash 00524 Magistrate Court, Valencia County, Los Lunas, New Mexico. Case number Delta dash 1314 dash Charlie uppercase Victor uppercase dash 201800590 13th Judicial District Court, Valencia County. Case number Delta dash 1314 dash uppercase Charlie Victor dash 201901401 13th Judicial District Court, Valencia County. Case number Michael dash 60 dash Michael Romeo 201900267 Magistrate Court, Valencia County in Belen, New Mexico. Case number Delta dash 1314 dash uppercase Charlie Victor dash 201900392 13th Judicial District Court, Valencia County, New Mexico. Case number Michael dash 59 dash Charlie uppercase Victor uppercase dash 2020000 59 at the Magistrate Court, Valencia, New Mexico, in the city of Los Lunas. Magistrate Court, Valencia County, Los Lunas, New Mexico. Warning to all counter defendants listed on attachment 1 of all the above cases and also listed on the criminal complaint case number 1 column 20 dash lowercase Charlie Victor dash 00113 dash kilo uppercase golf uppercase dash Juliet uppercase hotel uppercase Romeo uppercase comma. You are hereby compelled to subscribe to the YouTube channel for the Honorable J. Jesús-Arriaga Abonce, or column J period dash Jesús hyphen Arriaga column Abonce, comma, for the criminal video trial in the Corporate United States District Court for the Corporate District of New Mexico and in the Supreme Court of the Corporate United States in the International Court at the Peace Palace in Hague, Netherlands, who has a permanent seat on front of of the Permanent Court of Justice on front of the United Nations. Failure to subscribe within 72 hours of this notice will render all trespassers fugitives and subjects to arrest by the United States Marshal's Office and Interpol. You have been served. Must register on the comment section and watch each video presented on the aforementioned channel. It is so ordered. on this third day of December of 2020. And it was successfully received. And this is the criminal complaint. All 65 pages. Where these trespassers failed to challenge, failed to register, failed to comply. We are going to continue in another video, and this other video is going to be part 3 of the case I mentioned. It will be on the title. And this case here is presented to you by the Honorable and for the Honorable column Adelina Arriaga, column Pedrosa, period. It's been a pleasure to have done this presentation and examination of law for the judicial review of the court, the Supreme Court for the United States. These cases have support of existing law, in standing decision by the Supreme Court for the United States, and this has been cited in all of these cases over and over and over and over. Several case laws have been identified, and they cannot just simply turn around and say, well, we're going to dismiss this, we're going to take care, we're going to strike, and it's the fact that she's doing that on video, on the first video of September 1st. September 1st of the year 2020. And this is our first video on this channel. You can hear how she's saying, oh, I'm going to dismiss this, I'm going to strike this, I'm going to do my ruling, and then, you know, she had been disbarred. Cindy M. Mercer, you were disbarred. This application for your disbarment was filed in the State Bar Association. This is not a joke. You know, you committed a crime, and the crime was filed in federal court, and there is evidence that that you are named as part of the trespassers. And once you do a criminal act, or you get involved into, somebody files a criminal charge, and the fact is you didn't dispute that. You didn't appear. You didn't show up. You didn't show up. You didn't show up, and nobody showed up, and you all knew you've been caught. You know what you say. Oh, what are they gonna do? Lock us all up? Yes, they will. It's just a matter of time. You are hereby instructed once more to turn yourself in to 333 Lomas Boulevard in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to the office of the U.S. Marshals. If you don't turn yourself in, you will be conducting your sentence, your life imprisonment sentence, or your life term in jail for the rest of your natural life. They'll be turning it into electrocution by in the electric chair. You know, you can pretend this is not happening to you, but this is documents, and you should know it. This is living now. Is evidence. This is forensic evidence on the video. It is my job to do this. You cannot do that. You cannot assume any jurisdiction. How many times will they have to tell you? You cannot assume jurisdiction. You're not the injured party. You're sitting on that bench, but you don't know what you're doing. You know, and in this mandatory judicial notice. In the writ of quo warranto with proof of claim and allotment of fee schedule, you know, these documents are to be taken seriously. Unless you know, other way, or you don't know. There is no legal there is no excuse. Because you knew or you should have known. Now, on this document, we, for the Honorable Avelina Arriaga Pedrosa, clearly states, you know, you're not even a judge. And if you're a corporate judge, well, then I'm not a corporation. How can you do that? Everything starts with a dispute. DIS means no. DIS means demon god of the underworld. And TRICT is trickery. What you're doing is trickery. Trickery. You don't have a piece of legislation, and as we gather, you know, I have this this document that you honor, that you allowed on that other case that I just mentioned, and the one for the foreclosure, in the case number that ends on 401. And on this coming video that we have, we're going to get into the heart of it, because this transaction never occurred. Case number Delta 1314 Charlie Victor uppercase -2019-01401. In the first video of September 1st, we requested the contract. Nobody's given us any contracts yet. So, you know, whatever you're doing, I hope that you realize how you're going to get rid of this, or how you're going to do it, because you're on the record. You know, we requested the contract so we can perhaps do an analysis and challenge the validity of the contract. But you know there is no contract. In fact, we called, or we sent a document to this one Ben Carson. Ben Carson. Here you go. Real documents, real claims, from real people. And we sent them this document, and we said we are offering $2.5 million in lawful money in exchange for the contract. If you show me the contract, I will give you that money, because we knew that he doesn't have it. He doesn't have a contract. This property was promised to be free and clear of any encumbrances, and we have forensic evidence that there was an armed conflict of foreclosure when we were purchasing this castle, and that one judge inside your building ordered that to be sold to somebody else on December of that one year, 1991. 1991. Where were you, Mrs. in 1991? Where was Elizabeth B. Friedenstein on 1991? Elizabeth B. Friedenstein, Elizabeth Fry, four different names, and we cite those four different names on this criminal complaint. I believe that it's in there, but we will get to it when we're going to start reading that document next. And when we're going to be reading this document for Elizabeth B. Friedenstein, you're going to jail, Elizabeth B. Friedenstein. You're going to jail for the rest of your life. You're bringing calumny. You're bringing a serious accusation of a queen being a terrorist. And for that, you're going to have to prove it. Because you wrote it. I have 6 pages here on my desk that you wrote. You know, at this time, the forensic investigation team says, well, we don't even have to do anything to it because it's on the record. It's in the record. You wrote that anyone who claims their rights under 1-UCC 1-308, 103.6, and 109 is a terrorist. I have that paper here on my desk. But we're going to be reading it. We left you a message to make an appointment so that we could take a look at it. Never. And for you, Cindy Mercer, how is it that if you operate on this clear? I told you on video 1. So I'm going to be making all these videos so you have all this time to watch them in jail where you're going to be for the rest of your life. And then you're going to say, well, what are you going to say? I'm interested. I know what you're doing, and I know that it's wrong. And you don't realize you're on the record. Or just because you are Cindy and Mercer, you say, oh, I'm going to throw this document outside. And I hope you did throw them outside like you said, and I objected. I objected, I told you, and I object. I object because you were going to need it, right? It is due process of law to give you the papers, to let you know what's going on, right? Have you ever served that case? That's the question. There is no service on that case. Elizabeth B. Friedenstein, if you went to law school and they told you that you can proceed without serving, you know how service is important. Insufficient service. And then the funny part here for this little lady, for this Elizabeth B. Friedenstein, is that she's saying, I want you to dismiss these documents, and when we get to it, okay, just keep an eye open for that, because they are pathetic. Pathetic. On the rogatory, we read it for the video on a previous video, on the letter of rogatory, and we say that it is a false claim, and it's here on this book. I'm not recommending you get one of these books, Elizabeth B. Friedenstein. I recommend that you get one of these books. This is Black's Law edition. And it tells you here that it is contempt of court to bring a claim for a plaintiff, they do not exist. Does Bank of America exist? Does Bank of Albuquerque exist? Does Wells Fargo Bank exist? Whatever bank you bring, they do not exist. They're not real. They're corporate, and you know it. And as I say, everything starts with a dispute. DIS means no. What is dispute? In Spanish, is P-U-D-A. Go read it. Go read it in Spanish. Disputa. So if everything starts with a dispute and you are in the wrong side, then of course you're gonna wind up in jail. You're gonna wind up in jail. I mean, everything that you're doing is totally bogus, totally wrong. But here's the best part. You knew, or you should have known. If you knew, it's willful tort of malpractice. If you did not know, it's negligence. Whichever way you want to go, you're done. You're losing. You're lost. You couldn't bring any of the stuff on federal, any of the stuff that was requested, and it is here. So, hey, listen. Since when, if you want to go in this route, since when a criminal can dismiss his own complaint? You are a lawyer. Is there such thing? I'm a criminal. I can dismiss this criminal complaint. I can do that. Oh, it's case law. It's case law now. Now it's case law. It happens within this case. And we're going to see that this gets reversed, or else everything else from this point forward is nonsense, because you're destroying your own system. You know what? You're telling the world, yeah, criminals can do that, but you're a lawyer. Man, you know what? You have no chance. The sorriest excuse for a lawyer. The sorriest excuse for a lawyer. All of you, lawyers, judges, show me the law. Show me the law. If law gives you the remedy, how is it that you can uphold one side of the UCC and deny the other one? The other one is the UCC 1-308. Take your time, go read it. Go to the Library of Law in Santa Fe, the Supreme Court of Law. And there it is. Ask them, where is the UCC? And they're going to show you where the books are. And then now sit in this world of books and then find it, because it's in there. And read all about it. Hey, you're a modern time lady. Perhaps you can go and do some research. But it is a shame that you're a lawyer, or you falsely advertise to be an attorney at law, and you're out there causing this harm and this fraud. This is real people that we are talking about, you know. And now once I get to it, I'm going to reverse every single transaction that you have done. I'm going to petition for the court to do that. Reverse everything that you have done, because you have done it wrong. And you, Cindy Mercer, you have done it wrong. Or what? What are you going to do? You're going to go to Congress? You're going to tell Congress, hey, you've heard it. That's why I'm bringing all these personalities in front of you. Right? You know, I don't go over... I don't go over just saying things. This is an analysis of law, and it's been prepared by professionals, by experts. This is an analysis of law. This is an audit. That's what I do. I'm an auditor in Code of Banking Procedure. How many times would I have to say this for you to know or realize that I am the very one that is guarding each and is looking exactly at every mistake you're doing. The first mistake, you're done. And all these cases were thrown out because I sent them to the federal court specifically. So they will be thrown out. Look, the judge wrote it. If there is not the real parties at interest on the case cannot even be attempted. And I know exactly where I have that. I'm going to see if I could find it. Then you go and argue with him. Then you go and argue with the federal judge. Go and argue with him. You know, I was going to look for it. But you're a lawyer, you know how to read these documents. You know where to find it. In fact, you claim that these documents are 65 pages of nonsense, but it's on the record now. You said it, you wrote it. Now you're going to have to prove that all of this is nonsense. And if you don't, lifetime in jail. What do you think it will happen if I start pretending that I know how to fly an Airbus? And no, I said pretending, okay? PRE means no. Not tending. PRE means no. P as in Papa, R as in Romeo, E as in Echo means no. Pretending, not tending. And what is tending, by the way? Tending, if you're tending a post in which you are not an expert, chances are the results will be devastating for you. Chances are that you're going to be in some type of trouble because you are pretending. You are not tending to the post of your commission. But all you have to do is say it, because, hey, once you say it, I didn't come over to your office and say, I want you to say this. Did I? I didn't come to you, group of lawyers over there, to say, everybody go in the meeting room because I am about to do this. Hey, this is, you're the expert, and it's not one. You know how many you are. And you've been asked if you speak English, and you have answered yes. And you've been asked if you have any questions, and you have answered no. Because if you did answer yes, that shows your negligence. You're supposed to be an expert. So if I am pretending to be an expert on flying an Airbus A380, and I've been told to take this is the next flight I'm being scheduled on is to Dubai, and I don't know how to get there. Think about it. Do you know how to deal with this? And for you, in that very meeting you send somebody else. That's even worse. You know, when she comes over here presenting that motion of yours, those pages that you have wrote of that is truly nonsense, your 6 pages. Elizabeth B. Frankenstein, you are incompetent. You are no competent. And you will never get out of this. Never. You wrote it. And then you send this lady, she comes over, Catherine Sanchez. And she clearly said, Your Honor, I don't know how to address this. But at least she brought it into the record. I don't know how to address this. She don't know. She said, hey, I don't know. And based upon that, she's been dismissed. She's dismissed. And she was disbarred. She was disbarred. She's an accomplice of yours. And now when you do this, it's now you're mastering this from whatever it is that you decided not to come over. You decided not to go over that date, didn't you? But you signed a document. You put your signature in there. You're on. And your insurance is going to be responsible. I'm going to have to the time now is 31 minutes past 3 p.m. on Wednesday, January the 6th of the year 2021. I will be making another video, possibly I have been busy, but I will be making another video on regard of this case because I'm going to be inviting the Secret Service. Now they have jurisdiction. It's violation of Title 18, Section 514, creating obligation. You're gonna have to come up with the evidence. So you don't have the evidence. You know, it's an easy one. It's an easy one. You lost. You just lost. You just lost. But if you lost and went home, it will be probably another one. Or you never lost? Or have you ever lost? Or how many times you've lost? Because this case here is done. And we are in front of the Chief Justice for the United States Supreme Court for the United States. And rewind the video, take your evidence, go look for it, go look for the information. Hey, you know, I don't think you can prepare a good defense because you are not even worthy of doing that, any of you. So until then, I'm going to pause this video and then we'll continue. And this court is not adjourned. It's always open and in session. You all have a nice day or a nice evening.